Magnet television.
Magnet television.
Magnet television.
You're watching Magnet television because what else are you going to do?
Greetings, Ben Lee here. Can I answer some questions for you? The one that jumps to mind is Buckets of Rain, which is the last song on Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks. Because it's simple. I've always loved simplicity, and like my personal artistic mission has a lot to do with simplicity. It's bittersweet. You know, it's got that incredible, I guess for me, what really seals the deal is that line, where he's talking about the object of his affection. I like the smile on her fingertips. I like the way she moves her hips. I like the cool way she looks at me. Everything about her is bringing me misery. To me, that is the perfect song lyric, because it explains the pain and the ache of love and of yearning, and that's kind of like I think for me that's like the sweet spot of all lyrics. The album that changed my life, I suppose, would be Jonathan Richman, Back in Your Life. Jonathan Richman was in the Modern Lovers and was, essentially a punk pioneer. The Sex Pistols covered the Modern Lovers. There was really in a way like heartfelt, but sort of like brutal and raw, and like it sort of, in a way, set the parameters for what punk rock should do. But then he went on to make music that was sort of like kids' music, and in a way, I think it's kind of like, I remember Mike Watt saying to me that when punk started, you'd go to a punk show and every artist was totally different. It was way before the conformity of punk rock began. And I think Jonathan Richman, sort of like Morrissey, had this idea that to be punk actually meant to be vulnerable and to be brave enough to try and do things your own way. And he made that like the sweetest music, and it was like not actually for kids, but it was for the kid in every grown up. And to me, that is, that came to be what I really have tried to do with my music always. So Back in Your Life is incredible. There's a song called Affection. My love is a flower just beginning to bloom. I mean, the songs are just incredible. One that jumps to mind is I saw one of the Avalanche's first shows in Sydney at a place called The Basement. It was like a little sit-down dinner theatre, and they were they weren't really doing DJing at that point. It was like almost like a pseudo Beastie Boys, like jumping around. They had this song called Rock City that was amazing. It was like cocaine, limousines, wee, Rock City, Rolling Stones. They were so hyper and kinetic, but they were also sort of like the Monkees or the Beatles, where like I was with a group of girls and each one picked their favorite. They were like crushable, and it was kind of cool. Like I would have never perceived where the Avalanches were going to go from there creatively, but it was just this kinetic, dynamic, amazing night that I've really never forgotten. It's not really a musical moment. It's just with a musician. I always admired Jarvis Cocker. Pulp were one of my favorite bands, and This Is Hardcore is one of my favorite albums of all time. And when I was in the UK doing press at one point, I was talking about Jarvis Cocker a lot in the press. And then I went to see Nick Cave do a lecture at Royal Albert Hall called The Secret Life of the Love Song. And Jarvis Cocker, I spot him like down, because I'm like picking up, will call tickets or something, and I spot Jarvis Cocker and I look at him and he looks at me and he goes, like, let's have a chat. And I just looked at him, and all I could think to do was pretend I didn't see him and just turn and walked away, because I was scared, There's only really been two people that I've been totally freaked out to meet, and that was Jarvis Cocker and Jonathan Richman. It's so weird. I've met kind of a lot of famous people and stuff. I wasn't intimidated by Tom Hanks, but Jarvis Cocker and Jonathan Richman really scared the hell out of me. So, it's kind of embarrassing.
Cine.